Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was banished and he rebuilds Hidden Whirlpool Konoha Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Leaf Council Chambers. It's been over 2.5 years since Naruto left the village. And since then, a new village has come back from destruction. The Hidden Whirlpool village of the Land of Eddies. Tsunade hadn't heard much about them lately, except that they've been in the middle of a violent conflict with the Hidden Stone village. Despite the small size of the Hidden Whirlpool village, they've been holding their own. Which confused her. It was the Hidden Stone that destroyed the Hidden Whirlpool, a long time ago. Granted that the Whirlpool was fighting mostly defensively, they were still holding their own. Danzo, however, had been giving her a headache. He had confessed that he had sent his men there, but his men had been completely defeated. Danzo had been nagging her about sending ninja there to try and find Naruto, and bring him back. But she told him that there wasn't any proof. Not only that, but the Hidden Whirlpool were once allies. And here he was again, giving her a headache. We must take care of them, Lady Tsunade. They were already annihilated. They are technically no longer our allies, we can't trust them, said Danzo, making his case in front of the Shinobi Council. The meeting wasn't supposed to take place until the representatives from the Whirlpool. But Danzo had insisted on an earlier meeting. The others were curious at first, but now they knew why. Danzo, shut up. Everyone here knows that they're coming today. Since they were once allies, I don't see a reason not to trust them. We'll just have to wait and see, said Tsunade, sending a glare towards Danzo. Turning to the others, she said, let the villagers know, not to engage any Hidden Whirlpool ninja. Doing so will result in an international incident. And therefore, be placed under severe punishment, said Tsunade, as she got up and left the chamber. Somewhere in the Land of Fire, Sakura, Shikamaru, Ino and Kakashi were currently on their way back from a mission. As they were heading back to the village, Ino sensed other chakras nearby. Chakras she didn't recognize. Kakashi-sensei, said Ino, earning the others' attention. I know. Stop. Kakashi replied, ordered. They all came to a stop, in a small clearing. What is it, Kakashi-sensei? Ino asked Sakura, putting her guard up. Everyone had their guard up. A moment later, a group of 4 kunoichi. The first ninja had bright red hair. The second ninja also had red hair, just had a more pink shade to it. The first 2 also wore a pendant with a swirl inside a circle. The third ninja had orang hair with dark green bangs. The fourth ninja had somewhat dark blue hair, and wore a dark green, lighter shade than the green bangs of the other ninja, battle kimono. Each one of them wore an ocean blue flak jacket, all looking like a half-shoulder length tank top. It also didn't have a high collar like the Leaf Ninja wore. What stood out to the 4 was that symbol on their headbands. The same symbol that was on the back of Kakashi's flak jacket. It's okay. They're Hidden Whirlpool ninja. Stand down, Kakashi ordered, as he looked the other ninja over. How come, Kakashi-sensei? And who are they? Sakura asked, not letting her guard down. Ino and Choji doing the same as her. Because they're heading to the Leaf Village to negotiate an alliance with the Leaf Village. And the 2 with the red hair are from the Uzumaki clan. Kakashi answered. Uzumaki clan. There's an Uzumaki clan? Ino asked, looking at Kakashi with a questioning look on her face. He's right. We're not here to fight. More like talk. If things work out, we'll become allies once again. If not, we'll be taking back what's ours, said the girl with the glasses, gaining Ino's attention once again. What do you mean by that? Sakura yelled. I don't have to answer to you. Anyway, my name's Karen Uzumaki. The other redhead is Tayuya Uzumaki. The orange-haired one is Pakura, and the one with blue hair is Guren, said Karen, as she needlessly adjusted her glasses. Uzumaki. So that means that you're related to Naruto. Sakura yelled, slightly shocked by the revelations. Naruto. You mean the Uzumaki that was treated like shit in your village, huh? Said Yuya, giving them all a glare. So you do know him. Where is he? Sakura yelled, taking a threatening step forward. Careful, Sakura. If you attack them, it will cause an international incident. And you will be punished for it. The hidden Whirlpool were once allies, especially the Uzumaki clan. It's their symbol that we wear on our backs, and it's part of the symbol on our headbands as well. They also happen to be related to the first Hokage's clan, the Senju. Which means they're also related to Lady Tsunade. We don't want to upset them, said Kakashi, trying to prevent a fight from breaking out. But, Kakashi-sensei, though we're still supposed to find out any info we can on Naruto, said Choji, remaining calm. I understand that, but not at the cost of losing a powerful ally. The Uzumaki clan is extremely capable in sealing ninjutsu, so much so that it's like a Kekkei Genkai. And the clans originating from there are formidable as well. Also, we don't want to underestimate the two with them either. Kakashi replied, causing the Whirlpool ninja to smirk. Why's that, Kakashi-sensei? Ino asked. The one without the glasses, Yuya, was one of the four erecting the barrier during the invasion. I'm sure she has a reason why she switched sides, unless Orochimaru is part of the Whirlpool somehow. But that's unlikely. Gurren, I'm sure, has a special ability of her own as well. We can't underestimate her either. And Pakura, is Pakura of the Scorch style, from the Hidden Sand. Which has got me curious about why she's with the Hidden Whirlpool. Kakashi explained. The Hidden Sand treated me as a hero, but they threw me away like trash. They betrayed me, just so they could avoid a war. I owed my life to some people, but I've repaid that debt. I then later decided to join up with the Hidden Whirlpool. At least they know how to treat a hero, who's given all they have for their village. Pakura explained. I see. Kakashi replied. But what about the rest of you? Kakashi asked. Aside from Pakura, all of us were loyal to Orochimaru. But we left when of our own free will, because he was likely to betray us. He's already lied to some of us, so it was only a matter of time before he threw us away. Karen answered. It seems that they're telling the truth. Still, I'm not entirely sure we can trust them. Whirlpool ninja or not, doesn't matter, we were ordered not to engage in a fight with them. Kakashi thought. Fair enough. We'll escort you to the Leaf Village. Ino, Choji, take the rear. Kakashi ordered. Wait a second. Sakura yelled, gaining everyone's attention. Turning to the Whirlpool ninja, she demanded. You obviously know who Naruto is. So tell us where he's at. Hey, you think you can just demand information from us, just because you're the Hokage's apprentice? Yuya smirked. Say what? Sakura yelled, getting angrier by the second. You'd think she'd teach you to respect potential allies. Said Yuya, keeping her smirk. Why you? Sakura yelled, as she charged Yuya. Sakura, don't, Kakashi ordered, only to have Sakura continue her charge. He was about to intercept Sakura, but he was beaten to it. Chakra chains, Karen called out. As she extended her hands, golden chain shot out and wrapped around Sakura, pinning her against a tree with a loud thud asterisk. Ah! Sakura! Ino and Choji yelled, as they also began to charge in. Only to be stopped by Kakashi, who went in front of them standing with his arms and legs spread. Stop! You two! Sakura brought this upon herself. We have to avoid an international incident. We have to negotiate with them, and hope that they'll spare Sakura. So, don't attack, said Kakashi. But Kakashi-sensei, that's an order, said Kakashi, interrupting Ino mid-sentence. Meanwhile, Sakura was trying to break out of the chakra chains. But to no avail, causing Karen to laugh. It's pointless to struggle. These chains are capable of holding a tailed beast in place. These are special chains that only those of the Uzumaki clan can use. Haha, Karen explained. Tailed beasts. What are those? Thought Ino, Choji and Sakura. The latter of the three had stopped struggling once she heard what Karen said. The question is, what should we do with this one? She attacked us, despite being told what the consequences are. Obviously, she doesn't care about the well-being of the Leaf Village, said Gurren, with a slight smirk on her face. Kakashi turned around to face them. He bowed his head, and said, "Please, forgive her. She tends to be short-tempered, and although she has a weird way of showing it, she cares greatly for her friends. As her sensei, she's my responsibility. I'll take responsibility for her actions, so please, let her go." Karen appeared to be thinking it over. How do I know that she won't attack me again? Karen asked. She knew Kakashi would stop Sakura, but she wanted them to squirm a little bit. Well, there's no need for that now, said a new voice, gaining everyone's attention. Jiraiya then entered the clearing, followed by a young teenage woman with midnight blue hair. Karen, could you please let Sakura go? I'll keep her in check if she tries anything, said the girl, with soft yet firm voice. Hey, alright, Hinata. But, only because it's you, Karen replied, letting Sakura drop to the ground. Not even bothering to do so gently. Oomph. Sigh. Honestly Karen, I swear, said Hinata, as she shook her head with her face towards the ground. Jiraiya chuckled, but at Hinata. But the looks she was receiving from Kakashi and his current team. Kakashi seemed indifferent, but he could tell that he was surprised. Even if only a little. Ino, Choji and now Sakura however, stood slightly slack-jawed. Hinata's clothes were all a size above form-fitting, but they did well to complement her form. She wore dark blue Anbu-style pants, an ocean blue tank top, and a lavender-colored, short-sleeved lavender sweater. The sleeves appeared to have been cut. She also wore gray shin and arm guards, though the shin guards were only noticeable by her feet. Her headband also seemed different, for the cloth holding the metal plate was now orange. And just like 2.5 years later, she still wore her headband around her neck. She also had grown her hair out, to where it now ended at the small of her back. Whoa, Hinata, is that you? Ino asked, not believing her eyes. HN. Of course, who else would I be? Hinata asked rhetorically. Wow, you look amazing. And a lot more confident too, said Sakura. Blushing slightly, Hinata replied. Thank you, Sakura. You all look well yourselves. Realizing something, Choji asked. Hinata, how do you know these guys? I mean, it seems like you and that Karen girl know each other pretty well. This caused everyone to give Hinata looks of confusion from her peers. Well, I've been to the hidden whirlpool a few times these past couple years to train with someone I knew from my childhood. That's where I met Karen and the others. They're actually quite friendly, once you get to know them. Hinata answered, with a smile. She still didn't like being the center of attention, but her time in the Whirlpool village had helped her get used to it. She also had to keep the Whirlpool village's leader a secret for now. Alright, enough talk, said Jiraiya, getting everyone's attention. Hinata and probably would have been to the village by now, but seeing what was going on here took priority. I'm sure Tsunade will be disappointed in a certain someone's action. Sakura looked towards the ground in shame. Anyway, let's get going to the Leaf Village. All of us are late enough as it is, Jiraiya ordered, as he walked past everyone. Leaf Village. Jiraiya and the others were now currently walking through the village. Jiraiya and Kakashi were up front, while the others were behind the Whirlpool ninja. Ino got close to Hinata, both to break the silence and get some gossipy info. Hinata, who was this person you were training with, huh? Was it Naruto? Hinata just smiled, as she answered. No, it was someone else. Truth is, I'm not sure if Naruto ever was in the hidden Whirlpool village. But, I still miss him. Whoa, Hinata still has it bad for him. Poor girl, Ino thought. The group was brought to a halt, when Tayuya got their attention. What the hell? Why can't I move? It was Hinata who answered, with her Byakugan active. Shikamaru, let her go. Sorry, but I have no intention of doing so. She's one of Orochimaru's pawns. Shikamaru replied. That's right. I thought I finished her off years ago, during that retrieval mission. Said Tamari, as she stood at the ready with her large fan. You stupid fucks. You think I'd stay with Orochimaru and let him kill me, for failing to bring him that Uchiha prick? Not a chance. The Whirlpool village and my Uzumaki relatives welcomed me with open arms. So let me go. Tayuya yelled. Before Shikamaru or Tamari could retort, Hinata decided to vouch for Tayuya. It's true, Shikamaru. She's part of the Uzumaki clan, a cousin to the village's leader himself. Hiro Uzumaki. If you don't let her go now, you risk an international incident. Sigh, man, what a drag. Alright, fine, Shikamaru replied, as he released his shadow possession jutsu. Finally free, Tayuya decided to voice her complaints. That's the second time we've been held up. I'm starting to think that they don't want us as allies. Now, we expected this, remember. Our cousin knew this could happen. Let's just hope that our comrades aren't having as difficult a time in the Sand Village. Said Karen, trying to calm Tayuya down. That's right, I almost forgot that the hidden Whirlpool has ninja to start negotiating an alliance with the Sand as well. Tamari thought, placing her fan on her back. If there aren't any more interruption, I think it's best we get to the Hokage's office. Both to inform her of Hinata's return, and the negotiations between our two villages. Said Kakashi. Tsunade's office. Tsunade was getting a little impatient. The hidden Whirlpool ninja were late. Her thoughts were interrupted when a knock-knock sounded against her office door. Come in, she called out. The door opened to reveal Jiraiya, followed by Kakashi, the Whirlpool ninja, Kakashi's team for their mission, and then Hinata. Tsunade was shocked to see Hinata's new look. She was always a shy and would wear bulky clothing, but now she wore more daring clothes. At least that was the best way she could put it. She came to the conclusion that Hinata had somehow grown more confident. Lady Hokage. Kakashi began, getting Tsunade's attention. Our mission was a success. But considering the current circumstances, I believe it best for the report to wait. There was also an issue on our way back from the mission. Although Kakashi would rather not throw Sakura under the bus, he didn't really have a choice. But he could at least postpone the news until the negotiations were over. Very well. And before I get to you, Jiraiya, let me greet our guests. Said Tsunade, as she turned her attention the Whirlpool ninja. Kakashi and his team leaving her office as she did so. Welcome, I hope no one gave you any trouble. And if so, hopefully not too much. It was Karen who spoke, since it was decided that she be the primary diplomat during these negotiations. At least until their village's leader showed up. Aside from your apprentice's attitude and a misunderstanding with a member of the Nara clan, I'd say it could have been worse, Lady Hokage. The news about this surprised her. She had ordered her ninja not to try anything with the Whirlpool ninja. Even teams that were sent out weeks ago were told just in case they ran into them. Sigh. I see. I apologize for any disrespect directed towards you. I've ordered them not to try anything. Tsunade replied, disappointed that Sakura had just caused some possible issues with the Whirlpool village. You should try knocking some sense into those two idiots. Said Tayuya. Be quiet, Tayuya. The last thing we need is to walk away without a new ally. Karen ordered, before turning and bowing to Tsunade. I'm sorry for Tayuya's attitude. She can be very stubborn and hot-headed at times. It's alright. We're hoping to resume our alliance with the hidden Whirlpool as well. But if you'll excuse me for a moment, I need to deal with Jiraiya's and his apprentice Hinata's return to the village after such a long time. Tsunade replied, waving off Tayuya's comment for the time being. Of course. We'll just wait outside your office, until the negotiations can start. Said Karen, as she motioned for the others to follow her outside the office door. Thank you. Once they left the office, Tsunade began addressing Jiraiya and Hinata. Shizune was standing next to her with Tun Tun in her arms. She had been quiet this whole time. She was surprised with Hinata's appearance when she walked through the door. She noticed that this wasn't the shy little girl anymore, but a confident young teenager. I assume she's improved since your departure? Tsunade asked, bring Shizune out of her current thoughts. Of course. What did you expect? Hinata to come back just as shy and lacking in confidence as when she left? Jiraiya asked, smirking at his rhetorical question. I see. Well then, perhaps she can demonstrate those skills later this evening. Have you in training ground 8, at about 7 p.m. Tsunade ordered, as she got up and headed towards the door. Seeing the Whirlpool ninja there, she asked them to follow. Well, I'll see you later. I've got some research to do, said Jiraiya, with a perverted laugh and look on his face. Sai Hinata was used to this by now, but she couldn't help but pick on him a little every time he acted like this. You know, it's easy for Naruto to know what you're doing at every moment of your research. You never know when the next time he'll pop up and interrupt your research. Haha. Don't remind me. It's like he doesn't have anything better to do. Anyway, see ya, Jiraiya replied, before exiting the office through the window. Taking a deep breath, she yelled out the window after Jiraiya. See ya, pervy sage. Hinata yelled, hearing a faint, don't call me that, from Jiraiya, earning a chuckle from Hinata before she left Tsunade's office. Council chambers. Tsunade with the elders, including Danzo, the clan head, Shinobi Council, and the civilian council were currently seated in the chamber. The clan heads took up the left side, the civilians took the right side, and Tsunade with the elders were in the front. The civilian council was whispering among themselves as the Whirlpool decided to take the back rather than the middle. At least 3 of them did. Karen took the middle since she was the Whirlpool's diplomat. All right. Since everyone is here, we can begin the negotiations, said Tsunade, bringing the murmur to rest. Now, Karen Uzumaki, you have the floor. Giving Tsunade a slight bow, Karen began. Although we of the Hidden Whirlpool would like nothing more than to have the Hidden Leaf as allies, we can't help but have some concerns about how this village may treat their allies, when they have shown that they can't even trust their own ninja, said Karen, getting some confused and angry looks. Confused looks from the elders, and angry looks from the civilian council. What the hell are you talking about, girl? We trust our ninja with our lives. How dare you accuse us otherwise? Yelled an out-of-shape merchantman. How dare I, you ask? Easily. Namely one, Naruto Uzumaki. Like you, we have our sources within the other villages. We've learned quite a bit about him. We heard how he was made into a Jinchuriki for the 9 tails and then treated as if he were the fox himself. And because you couldn't see past your own misguided hatred, he had to leave the village in search of a home that will accept him. You believed he was too strong. Most villages would have loved to have him in their village, even if it was because of the 9-tailed fox. Even more so with the 4th Hokage's flying Raijin Jutsu. He defeated Gaara of the desert, when he released the Shukaku. He brought back your precious Uchiha, successfully completing his mission and fulfilling his promise to his pink-haired teammate to bring him back. Sasuke's willful decision to leave the village, he should have been executed like the rogue ninja he became. Yet you all practically let him back in with open arms, while your hero was removed from your ninja ranks. I know I don't have a right in your village politics. Well, that's normally the case. But this time, it's different. Karen explained, earning even angrier look from the civilian council every time she mentioned Naruto, and looks of reluctant agreement from the clan heads. How is this different? This isn't your village, and you have no say in how we treat our ninja, said the same merchant. It was Shikaku who answered. The Hidden Whirlpool is ruled by the Uzumaki clan. All Uzumaki are technically in their jurisdiction since our treaty with them technically never ran out. And since the Leaf Village had done wrong by the Uzumaki clan be mistreating Naruto, they can ask for almost anything from us to compensate the wrong we've done them. But, only as long as they acknowledge that person as an actual blood-related member of their clan. What could they possibly ask for? Asked a councilwoman. We would most likely ask for our symbol back. The symbol you ninja wear on you flak jackets and your headband. And we'd ask for 100 million ryo for treating a member of our clan the way you have. Karen answered, getting cries of disapproval from the civilian council as well as the elders. You can't possibly expect us to pay you 100 million ryo, for a child. Said Kaharu, hoping to avoid paying so much. Ah, but doesn't your village protect the children of your village more than any other in your village? Karen countered. She knew this because of Orochimaru, had mentioned it at one point in time. She couldn't exactly remember when, but that just gave her some more pull with the Leaf Village. Karen's question was met with silence, as none of them could deny what she said. I see. You protect you children unless the proved to be more loyal than others, and having a tailed beast sealed inside them against their will, but saving your village nonetheless. Tisk tisk. What a shame, said Karen, as she shook her head in disappointment. After a few moments of silence, Tsunade decided to break the silence. I agree that this village has done wrong by your clan, but not everyone agreed with what happened to Naruto. And although most people hated him, he began to earn the villagers' respect. Slowly but surely. With that said, does this mean that there will be no alliance between our villages? Tsunade asked, wanting to confirm where this was going. That depends. You can either accept our alternative offer and have an alliance with the hidden Whirlpool village. Or you can take our first offer, and not have an alliance between our villages. Those are non-negotiable. Our village's leader will give you a week to decide. Karen replied, giving off a smirk. She knew that the alternative would be preferable for the Leaf Village, but they still wouldn't like it. At least that's true for the first two. And what is this alternate offer? Danzo asked, not liking the look on her face. Hey, 50 million ryo for compensation, due to what happened to one Naruto Uzumaki. Karen began, when she was rudely interrupted. 50 million. You're insane. Why would you ask for so much? Yelled the merchantman. So, you'd rather pay the full million then? Karen asked, only for the man to remain silent. Thought so. Now where was I? Oh right, now I remember. 50 million ryo, for compensation. Complete immunity for any and all of our shinobi. Said Karen, before being interrupted again. Why would you such a thing for your ninja? It doesn't make sense, said Homura. Sigh, because, we took in a number of rogue ninja that didn't agree with their village. After a thorough background check, we accepted many of them. But not all of them could be trusted. Now, please refrain from asking any further questions until I'm done explaining. Thank you, Karen replied, slowly getting aggravated with the constant interruptions. I agree. Let's hear the rest of their requests, before asking questions. Said Tsunade, before Kaharu decided to speak. Turning to Karen, she said. Please, continue. Thank your, Lady Hokage. Now 50 million ryo. She began, only repeating herself because she loved the looks of anger they got when she mentioned it. Complete immunity for all our ninja. Trade between our two nations of course. And the participation of our genin during the next Chunin exams. Said Karen, as she finished making the demands. Silence reigned throughout the chamber, as the councils thought over the terms. While the second did seem better than the first in terms of finances, and the last two terms weren't a problem. But the second term, that was another issue in the alternative. Deciding to voice these concern, Kaharu asked. Do you have a list of the rogue ninja you've given sanctuary to? Yes, I do. However, due to my cousin Hiro Uzumaki, our village's leader, you won't receive the list unless you agree to the alternative deal. He's willing to give you a week to think things over, we need an answer by the end of the week. And as a gesture of good faith, Here's a scroll that you can have regardless of your decision right now. Karen replied, pulling a scroll and handing it to Tsunade. Very well. We'll take this week to discuss amongst ourselves about what our decision will be. Unfortunately, being Hokage isn't enough when it comes to alliances. We have reservations for you in one of our hotels. We'll be sure to notify you when our decision is reached, said Tsunade, after she took the scroll. Thank you, Lady Hokage. Just so you know, the contents of that scroll is courtesy of our leader, Hiro Uzumaki. Karen replied, with a bow. Once she stood up straight, she signaled for the others to follow. Once they left Tsunade called forth an Anbu to open the scroll. Just in case it was booby-trapped. The Anbu did so. Unraveling the scroll and channeling chakra into the seal, a box appeared with a poof asterisk. Opening the box with extreme caution, the Anbu was shocked at what he saw inside the box. Hinata. Once Hinata left Tsunade's office, she had decided to head home to inform her of her return home. She was almost to the Hyuga compound when she heard a familiar voice. Long time no see, Hinata. Turning around, Hinata replied. Indeed it has, Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai went up and gave Hinata a hug. It's good to have your back, said Kurenai. It's good to be back. Hinata replied. Hey, Hinata, welcome back, called a new, yet familiar voice. Hinata and Kurenai pulled back, and looked towards the voice. Hello, Kiba. Thank you. And hello to you too, Shino, said Hinata. Hello, Hinata. Nice to see you again, Shino replied. Hinata just giggled. Kurenai and the other two then took a good look. Hinata's new clothes and attitude was actually quite surprising. She used to always dress to hide her figure, but now her clothes didn't just reveal her figure some, it actually complemented it. Hinata noticed them staring, and decided to mess with them a little. Putting on a confused look, she asked, What? Is something on my face? Her teammates almost face-palmed at her question. It was Kiba who answered. Sorry, Hinata, we couldn't help but notice how hot you look. Only you were thinking that, Kiba. The three thought simultaneously. Thank you, Kiba, but you're the only one who was thinking that. Kurenai and Shino were thinking how much more confident I seem to be, said Hinata, with a smile on her face. She actually spoke her mind. And she could tell what we were thinking. The three thought. Hinata, how did you know what we were thinking? Kurenai asked. Oh, it's just because I know you all so well. And also, others who knew me during the early part of my training have always said how I've grown more confident. And I'm inclined to agree. As for what Kiba was thinking, well, let's just say he's not the only one who has thought that before. Hinata explained, not letting the smile drop from her face. I'm sorry, but I have to get home and get ready to meet Lady Tsunade at Training Ground 8. I'll see you all later, said Hinata, with a short bow before she headed up to the Hyuga compound. Once she was out of sight, Shino decided to speak up. She's much more confident, and it's only logical that her skills have increased just as much, if not more so. I also believe that she's still infatuated with Naruto as well, considering that she didn't even blush with Kiba's compliment. What did you just say, Shino? Yelled Kiba. He's right, Kiba. Your compliment didn't faze her, said Kurenai. She then smirked. I think I like this new Hinata. Should be interesting to see what she can do. Don't you two think so? Kurenai asked. Indeed. Yay. Well, shall we get ready for this evening? Kurenai asked, with a sly smile. Hey, yay, I'm looking forward to this. Kiba answered. Of course, said Shino. Hyuga compound. Hinata had a brief confrontation with the Hyuga guards. They couldn't recognize her at first, but once Hinata convinced them of who she was, she proceeded to enter the compound. Walking through the main building of the main house, Hinata was greeted by the branch house members that managed to recognize her. Those who did, were shocked by her new appearance. Some almost believed that she was Hiashi Hyuga's late wife, Hikari. Hinata was almost to her room, when she saw someone standing in front of her bedroom door. "Hello, sister," greeted Hanabi, as she faced Hinata. "Hello, Hanabi," Hinata replied, with a kind smile on her face. "How have you been these past couple years?" Hinata asked. "I've been well. How was your training?" "It went very well. I've become stronger, faster and more confident," Hinata replied. "I see. Father wished for us to spar each other upon his return from his meeting," said Hanabi, who turned around and began to walk away. "I'm sorry, Hanabi. But I'm sure Lady Tsunade wanted to see what I'm capable of as well. I wouldn't mind sparring with you, but I have to be at full strength for Lady Tsunade's test. She may not spar with me personally, but I'm sure she has an opponent lined up for me. Now if you'll excuse me, I must unpack my things and get ready for this evening," Hinata replied. She walked into her room and proceeded to prepare for tonight. Council chambers. What's in that box?" Tsunade asked, seeing the Anbu tense. The Anbu didn't reply, instead he turned the box around and tilted it slightly to show them what the box contained. Seeing what was inside, the entire room gasps. With the exception from Danzo, of course. Yet even he was shocked by the contents. 3 severed heads and a scroll marked with the Uzumaki clan seal were the box's contents. The scroll was strapped to the underside of the lid, while the heads were surrounded by a white sheet-like cloth within the deep section of the box. The heads formerly belonged to Orochimaru, Kabuto and Mizuki. That's impossible. Is that really Orochimaru's head? Sum asked, having difficulty believing her eyes. The others were having an equally difficult time believing what they were seeing. "I believe it is, Lady Inuzuka," the Anbu replied. Suddenly something caught the Anbu's eye. He reached into the box and grabbed something metal. Pulling it out, just brought out even more shocked looks from everyone in the room. Is that?" Kaharu asked. "A silver platter." "Yes, it is Elder Kaharu," the Anbu answered. "You mean that the hidden Whirlpool brought us the heads of 3 traitors on a silver platter?" Sum asked. "I believe so," Choza replied. Suddenly Danzo stands up and yells. "This must be a trick. It's impossible for anyone from the hidden Whirlpool to defeat someone like Orochimaru. He's one of the legendary Sannin." This outburst caused murmurs and shouts to emerge from both sides of the council. While it was difficult to believe, it didn't mean that it was a trick. Starting to get a headache from the yelling, Tsunade decided to call everyone to order. "Silence," Tsunade yelled. Once everyone had settled down, Tsunade took a deep breath. "I understand that it's hard to believe, but I doubt they had set a trap. We'll perform an autopsy on the heads, to ensure that they're the real deal. I'd like to perform the procedure myself, but I'm sure you all would be worried about the possibility of the trap. Therefore, Shizune will be the one to perform the autopsy. Any questions?" The only reply she got was silence. "Very well. Please give me the scroll, and then bring the heads to He Morgue," Tsunade ordered, after turning to the Anbu with the severed heads. "Yes, milady," the Anbu replied, placing the heads back in the box. He then took the scroll, and handed it to Tsunade. Once Tsunade had the scroll, he went to take the box and proceeded to take to the morgue as ordered. Once the Anbu left, Tsunade opened the scroll and read the contents out loud. "Dear 5th Hokage, I'm sure you, or at the very least your council, was concerned that the heads in the box were some sort of trap. But rest assured, they're not. I realize that it would be difficult to believe or trust us, and I understand everyone's concern. I would however like to tell you the tale of how I got a hold on these 3. However, I will only tell you if you've all decided to have an alliance with us. Either way, I do expect to receive the reward that stands upon Orochimaru's head. Which happens to be 50 million ryo. Have said this, I'm sure you realize that either way you will be paying us at least 100 million ryo in total. I'm sure you find this outrageous, but think of it this way. Would you rather pay the 50 million for compensation and another 50 million for the reward on Orochimaru's head, and have an alliance with a village capable of not only tracking Orochimaru down, but also eliminating a threat to your village? Or pay 100 million ryo for compensation and 50 million ryo for Orochimaru's head, and not have us as allies? Please think this through. I will be there in person, should you decide to accept. However, if anyone attempts to take my life, I will retaliate. I would prefer not to, but I must protect my village. Sincerely, the leader of the hidden Whirlpool village, Hiro Uzumaki. Once Tsunade had finished, Homura stood and yelled. He dares to threaten us. Silence, Homura. He only warned us what he would do if we attacked. He never said he'd lay waste to the village, but he can defend himself. As is the right of anyone who is attacked within our walls. So long as they didn't instigate anything, said Tsunade. Only silence was the response she received. Looking up at the clock in the room, she noticed that it was getting close to 8 o'clock. Sigh. We'll adjourn for today. We'll meet again once the autopsy is finished. I'll give everyone here a notice. Now, dismissed, Tsunade ordered, as she walked out the door, rolling up the scroll as she left. Suddenly she stopped, and turned her head towards the others. Hiashi, I'll be seeing your daughter Hinata at 8 o'clock. I'm putting her through a test to see how much she improved during her training. If you wish to watch, then be at training ground 8 at that time, said Tsunade, now walking towards her office with a smirk on her face. The news of this surprised Hiashi. He had of course expected Hinata's return today, but not that she'd be tested by the Hokage. He had already planned to do that once she returned, but it seems Tsunade beat him to the punch. Taking an interest in this, he decided to drop the meeting he'd have with the Hyuga Council and watch his daughter's test. Training ground 8. It approached 8 o'clock, and Hinata stood ready. She closed her eyes, waiting patiently until Tsunade shows up. I see you're early. That's good, said Tsunade, causing Hinata to slowly open her eyes. There she saw Tsunade at the edge of the clearing. Lady Tsunade, did the meeting go well? Hinata asked. Tsunade raised an eyebrow, but answered nonetheless. As well as it could go, I guess. Unfortunately, we couldn't come to a decision quite yet. Tsunade replied, careful not to tell any details slip outside the village council. Letting out a breath, Hinata replied. I see. Then I assume we're here for you to test how much I've progressed from my training. Hey, that's right. They should be here shortly. Tsunade answered. It wasn't even a minute later until Kurenai, Kiba and Shino walked into the training area. Good evening, Lady Tsunade. Kurenai greeted. Good evening, Kurenai. Are you and your team ready? Tsunade asked. Yes, we are, Kurenai replied. She then turned to Hinata and asked. How about you, Hinata? Are you ready? Giving Kurenai a smile, she answered. Yes, I am, Kurenai-sensei. Alright, we're going to have a match. You, Kiba and Shino against myself. Use whatever means necessary to capture me. Understood, Kurenai explained, moving to where she could see all three of her students. Actually, sensei, I have a more interesting idea, said Hinata, gaining everyone's attention. And what would that be? Kurenai asked, curious as to what it might be. I suggest a 4-way battle royal. Last one standing wins, Hinata answered. What? Who are you and what have you done to Hinata? Kiba yelled, starting to believe that she actually might not be Hinata. Haha, I'm Hinata, but if you're referring to the Hinata that lacked confidence, she's not here anymore. But I'm still one and the same Hinata. Hinata replied. That may be, Hinata, but are you sure you want a battle royal? I mean, anything could happen. Teams could be formed, and you could be attacked by anyone and anytime, said Tsunade. I'm sure of this, Lady Tsunade. Even if I don't win, I at the very least will be the last one to fall. I'm confident in that, Hinata replied. That's quite the confidence. But do you have the skill to back it up? Asked Hiashi, as he joined Tsunade at the edge of the clearing. Hinata turned towards her father, and answered. It's good to see you again, father. And to answer your question, I'm positive about my claim. Hinata then smiled. Although the smile seemed sweet and innocent, it caused an unexplainable shiver to go down the spines of her teammates and sensei. I'm not sure I like the way she's smiling. It gives me the creeps. Kiba thought, unconsciously gulping. Akamaru even gave a slight whine, at the sight of Hinata's smile. And people think my insects are creepy. Shino thought. Interesting. Hinata's never given me the chills before. And by the looks on Kiba and Shino's faces, they felt a shiver as well. Hey, I'm actually looking even more forward to this now. Kurenai thought. Alright, Hinata, if you're sure about that. I'm very sure, Kurenai-sensei, said Hinata, getting into the typical stance of the Hyuga clan. Alright then, is it alright with you then, Lady Tsunade? Kurenai asked, getting into a neutral stance. Sigh. Very well then. If everyone is alright with it. Tsunade replied. Hey, keep in mind, Hinata. You wanted this, said Kiba, getting his cocky attitude back. Activating his man-beast clone, and his all-fours jutsu, Kiba and Akamaru got ready to go right on the attack. Shino just simply nodded his head, as he too got into a neutral stance. Looking at her students, Kurenai decided to get this started. Alright, begin, Kurenai yelled. No sooner than she had said that, Kiba and Hinata began to charge. Both had actually decided to attack Kurenai. Hinata quickly saw this, and decided to quickly stop and jump backwards towards Shino. This quickly caught everyone's attention, surprised that Hinata wouldn't attempt to take out the Junin. Hinata landed about 10 feet from Shino, and immediately sped up towards him at a faster pace than when she charged towards Kurenai. The extra speed almost caught Shino off guard, but he had just barely managed to dodge her first strike towards his head. Or at least he would have, if Hinata didn't use her opening attack as a feint. Hinata led with her left hand, aiming towards Shino's right shoulder. She inwardly smirked when Shino began dodging toward his left. She stopped her left hand, and struck him in his left forearm with her right hand. Shino had immediately backed up once he was struck. But, as soon as he did, Hinata was right on top of him again. There were a flurry of strikes coming from Hinata, and Shino was trying to parry them as best he could. But he could slowly feel more of his chakra points closing. With his chakra points closing, he was having more difficulty in controlling his chakra and by extension his insects. I believe it would be best to have my insects attack Hinata. Shino thought, as he continued to parry Hinata's attacks. Suddenly, Shino's insect appeared in a large swarm behind Hinata. Hinata was able to see it, thanks to her Byakugan. Hinata stopped her assault on Shino, and activated a jutsu she had completed shortly after her training began. Protective 8 trigrams 64 palms. Hinata called out, sending multiple chakra needles out piercing through many of the insects. Once Hinata's attack ended, she charged. Only this time, she decided to charge towards Kiba and Kurenai's fight. Kurenai was attempting to dodge Kiba's strikes, but only managed to dodge about half of them. She had attempted to cast a genjutsu on him, but every time she did, Akamaru would either disrupt it by sending chakra into Kiba or cause Kurenai to lose focus of the genjutsu. The same goes for when she catched Akamaru in a genjutsu. She had attempted to capture both of them, but the speed of the two combined with a set distance from each other made it difficult. She was slowly getting exhausted. Suddenly, she saw a possible relief. She saw Hinata charging towards them. Although, she was curious as to why she was heading towards them. Did she already finish of Shino? Kurenai asked herself. Gaining some separation between herself and Kiba, she chanced a glance towards where she last remembered Hinata attacking Shino. She saw that Shino was still standing, and nursing his left forearm. Turning her attention back to Kiba, Hinata was about to attack him when Akamaru suddenly came and attacked Hinata. Hinata was fending off Akamaru's attacks, and had thrown in some of her own strikes as well. It didn't take long for Kiba to help Akamaru. Hinata quickly jumped over Akamaru and landed behind Kiba. She immediately attacked some of his chakra points, mostly those at the shoulders and the hips. Ah! Kiba yelled, falling to a knee. Akamaru had started his attack back up as soon as Kiba yelled out, landing a punch on Hinata. Hinata used the momentum from being punched to flip on her hands and back up to her feet. Once she landed on her feet, she met charging Akamaru in another flurry of attacks. Hinata slowly closed more chakra points, before parrying a punch from Akamaru and spinning around him. Coming out of her spin, Hinata charged toward Kiba with Akamaru hot on her heels. Kiba saw Hinata coming towards him. Moving as fast as he could, he charged Hinata with his fist cocked back. Just as he brought its fist towards Hinata, she suddenly jumped upward. With his fist already coming forward, along with Hinata's sudden jump, Kiba was unable to stop himself from punching Akamaru. Akamaru, however, had also cocked back his fist before Hinata suddenly jumped upwards. Since both Kiba and Akamaru were unable to stop themselves, they ended up punching one another, knocking each other to the ground. Kurenai had to suppress a giggle when she saw this. Spectators. Jiraiya had shown up right when Kurenai called for the start of the match. Instead of joining the others on the ground, he opted for sitting up in a tree. He couldn't help but smirk at all the surprised looks Hinata's battle skills had been earning from the others. Especially Hiashi, who was trying to remain stoic, only to fail miserably. Hey, never thought I'd see him actually showing surprise to this extent. Jiraiya thought. Incredible. I must admit, letting Hinata leave to go train with Lord Jiraiya was a great idea. The improvement she's made in both confidence and skill, it's phenomenal. Hiashi thought, having difficulty to keep a straight face. As shocked as he was, he couldn't help but feel more proud. Perhaps, I was too hard on her. Or I just went at this from the wrong angle. It's incredible, isn't it, Lady Tsunade? The once shy and confidence-lacking Hinata has turned into a more confident and skilled kunoichi. Shizune commented, still in awe at what she was seeing. I agree. It's impressive how much she has changed in just 2.5 years. Not only in personality, but in skill as well. Her lack of confidence was her biggest obstacle, but that seems to be behind her now. I just hope she doesn't become arrogant because of this. Tsunade replied. Ha, you don't have to worry about that, princess. She may be more confident and more skilled than when she left, but she's not the type to let that get to her head. Said Jiraiya, as if he were replying to a funny joke. I hope you're right, said Tsunade. Battle. Hinata was still airborne, when a new swarm of insects surrounded her. She of course knew that Shino had placed some insects on her and the others over the course of the match. The longer the match went on, the more exhausted they would become. I had hoped that the lack of chakra control would keep the insects at bay a little longer than this. Oh, well, Hinata thought, as she began her next jutsu. A jutsu that she had begun and completed, during her training. Rotation. Hinata called, a dome of chakra appearing around her. Shino's insects couldn't resist the surge of chakra that appeared, and went in for the attack. That proved to be a big mistake, as the rotation ripped through them. Shino could have prevented this easily, if his chakra control wasn't affected so much by Hinata's gentle fist. With Hinata's jutsu coming to an end, she landed and went to charge Kurenai. Kurenai half expected this, however, and was ready. She had realized that her chakra was slowly diminishing. She had attempted to remove the insects, but she was having difficulty finding any due to their small size. With her steadily diminishing chakra, she knew that using genjutsu was out. Not that it mattered, since the Byakugan would see through it. Instead of charging in, Kurenai decided to wait until Hinata got closer to use a counter-attack. Once Hinata got close enough, she began dodging attacks. Although Kurenai usually uses genjutsu, she is well adverse in taijutsu as well. Unlike special Junin, who are Junin level in only one skill, Junin are at Junin level in multiple aspects of the ninja arts. In Kurenai's case, genjutsu and taijutsu. Despite this, however, Hinata was slowly wearing her down with her consistent speed, and her gentle fist. Even though Hinata isn't quite Junin level in taijutsu or speed, her increased skill in the gentle fist can help her even the odds. Impressive, thought Kurenai, impressed with Hinata's skill thus far. Little did she know, Hinata was slowly forcing her to where Kiba, Akamaru and Shino were fighting. Once Hinata got Kurenai where she needed her to be, she quickly jumped and flipped over Kurenai. Following Hinata's trajectory, Kurenai knew that Hinata was going to land right behind her. So, she quickly spun around in an attempt to catch her off guard. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Hinata had seen her attack coming, so she quickly parried Kurenai's attack away, closing another chakra point while she was at it. As she landed, Hinata immediately got into a stance. Her right leg was bent at a right angle, while her other limbs were straight. If you were to look at Hinata from above, it would look like her arms were at a 7 o'clock position. This stance quickly surprised everyone, except Jiraiya, to where even Kiba, Akamaru and Shino stopped fighting. Spectators. No way. Is that what I think it is? Asked Shizune, surprised at seeing this familiar stance. I believe it is. She can't really be capable of using that jutsu, can she? Asked Hiyashi, having difficulty in believing that Hinata could be able to use a Hyuga clan jutsu of this level. Hey, go ahead and underestimate her. That's what got her teammates and sensei into this mess in the first place. Jiraiya answered, with a smile on his face. Though, I have to wonder why she's going to this level. Jiraiya thought. Tsunade just remained silent. Battle. 8 trigrams. 128 palms. Hinata called out, beginning her attack. Surprisingly, she didn't start at her closest target, being Kurenai. She instead went to Kiba. Her plan was to get all 4 within her divination, which she accomplished. 2 palms. Hinata began, striking Kiba twice. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. Hinata yelled, leaving Kiba and going for Akamaru. 64 palms. Yelled Hinata, striking Akamaru 32 times. She then changed her target to Shino. Striking him 32 times, she then went to her final target Kurenai. Striking her 32 more times, bringing the total strikes to 128 palms. Spectators. That explains why she was using that level of a jutsu on her comrades. She planned on dividing the attack equally among all of them. Instead of hitting one with all 128 hits, she hits them each 32 times instead in order to avoid any fatal damage. Clever, said Jiraiya, impressed with Hinata's move. Clever, indeed, said Hiyashi. Tsunade and Shizune just nodded in agreement. Hinata was the only one standing, her teammates and sensei lying on the ground. Once Akamaru had hit the ground, he had transformed back into a large white dog. HN. All your guys' jutsu are useless now. Shino, you can't efficiently use your chakra to command your insect. Kiba and Akamaru, your nin taijutsu are also out. Kurenai-sensei, your genjutsu is gone without the proper chakra control. You all might still be able to use standard taijutsu, but you're all worn out. I can keep going, because I have a lot of stamina training. Hinata explained. Although she was right, she was trying to hide her own exhaustion. She was taking long breaths, so as to make it look as if this battle seemed easy. I'm not used to that jutsu yet. I can use the 8 trigrams, 64 palms, easy enough, but this one is very difficult for me. I just hope they aren't willing to continue without the preferred specialties, otherwise I could be in trouble. Hinata thought. She's not showing it, but I can tell she's getting exhausted. Hey, She's grown more than I expected. I guess she deserves this win. Besides, she'll probably wear me down, if it's just one-on-one. Kurenai thought, as she slowly stood up. Now standing on wobbly feet, Kurenai said, "Alright, I'm done, Hinata. You've earned this win. What about you guys?" Kurenai asked, looking towards Kiba and Akamaru. It took a moment longer for the others to stand back up, but they finally managed. It was Kiba who replied first. "Hey, yeah, I guess so. Akamaru is almost useless without our jutsu, well aside from acting like a typical attack dog. So yay, I'm done," said Kiba, with a large smile. "I agree. I'm not very proficient with taijutsu, and my insects are now all but useless. I must admit forfeit," said Shino. "Well, if that's the case, I hereby declare Hinata the winner of this battle royale," said Tsunade, as she walked onto the field. "Congratulations, Hinata." "Thank you, Lady Tsunade," Hinata replied, giving Tsunade a bow. Tsunade nodded her head at Hinata, and addressed them all as a team. "Now, you all are now officially, Team Kurenai. Report to my office, first thing tomorrow for your first mission. And make sure to get some rest," Tsunade ordered. Tsunade then turned around to head home to get some rest herself. Shizune followed after Tsunade, Tun following at her heels. "Yay, home sounds pretty good. I'll see ya, guys, tomorrow," said Kiba, as he and Akamaru headed home as well. Shino just nodded, and followed suit. And Jiraiya had left just after Tsunade had, leaving Hinata and her father behind. A few minutes later, Hinata and her father were walking home together, though the village. The trip was mostly silent. Until Hiashi decided to break it. "That was an impressive display of skill you've shown tonight, Hinata." "Thank you, father," Hinata replied, happy that her father had complimented her skills. "Although, I admit I'm not quite used to the 8 trigrams, 128 palms, quite yet. I had only mastered a couple months ago." "I see. But you still used it quite effectively," said Hiashi. "Thank you. Is Neji out on a mission?" Hinata asked, wanting to know how he was doing. She was pretty sure he was, but she just wanted to confirm it. "Yes, he is, along with the rest of Team Guy," Hiashi answered. "I see. He has already become a Junin," said Hiashi. "I'm not surprised," Hinata replied. "I see. So, what are you going to do about the Chunin exams? Everyone in your graduating class has become Chunin," Hiashi asked. "Again, I'm not surprised, father. And I'm sure I can talk to Lady Tsunade about the Chunin exams. I'm sure we can think of something," Hinata answered. She already had a feeling that everyone had already been promoted, and she knew what the plan could be should the Hidden Leaf and Hidden Whirlpool become allies. "I must admit, Hinata, I'm quite proud of how you've matured since you left this village," said Hiashi, earning a gasp and a shocked look from Hinata. Hinata had stopped moving, watching as her father kept walking before entering the Hyuga compound. Next morning, Hiashi had an early morning with the Hyuga clan council. Upon entering the room, what little commotion there was, came to a halt. Hiashi then went to his seat. One of the elders decided to begin. "Lord Hiashi, I assume you know that your eldest daughter had returned to the village." "Yes, I am," Hiashi replied. "Then from my understanding, wasn't she supposed to spare with your younger daughter Hanabi upon her arrival?" the elder asked. "Originally, yes. But, Lady Tsunade had already placed Hinata in a test of her own. She sparred with her sensei, Kurenai, and her teammates, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburame. It was originally supposed to be a 3-on-1 match, but Hinata suggested a battle royal. This was accepted by her teammates, Sensei and Lady Tsunade herself. Based on Hinata's performance, I don't see a need for her to spar against Hanabi," Hiashi explained, with his typical stoic demeanor. "I see. How did she fare?" Hinata requested that it to go until the last man standing, which Hinata herself had accomplished. She had won with the 8 trigrams, 128 palms. Equally distributing the attack evenly among her teammates and sensei. Hiashi answered. Hiashi's statement had earned shocked looks from all around the room. That's impossible. Hinata couldn't possibly have improved so much. Yelled Haruo, the young arrogant Hyuga. You dare to question me, when I myself witnessed this event. That is quite the arrogance you have there, Haruo. And personally, I'm slowly getting tired of it. The only reason you're here, is because both you parents have died. That is the only reason you've had a seat on this council at 16. You may think you're a skilled member of the Hyuga clan, but you can't beat Neji in a match. Said Hiashi. These past 2 years, this young man had slowly begun to wear on Hiashi's nerves. The constant arrogant attitude, the lack of respect and the overestimation of his own skills. Sure, the Hyuga were sometimes considered arrogant, but they at least knew their limitations. How Haruo had become a Junin at 15, just confused Hiashi. I could have beaten that lowly branch member, if I were permitted to use the seal. That's the only reason her won. And let's not forget, he uses techniques permitted only to the main house of the clan. And he has yet to be punished for it. Haruo yelled. He taught himself those jutsu. And under my authority, he has been permitted to learn more of the main house's techniques. And as for your excuse of not being able to use the seal against Neji, is just to cover up your own weakness. You can't even admit your own defeat. My daughters can admit their defeat, even to a branch house member. You, however, are a member of the council and can't even admit when you're bested. And your current behavior is an insult to me, and the rest of this council. To disrespect me, is the same as disrespecting the entire Hyuga clan. Said Hiashi, earning nods of agreement from the rest of the council. Haruo just growled underneath his breath. He didn't think that he was insulting his fellow clansmen, but he felt that he was being insulted more than even the clan. Figuring that it would be best not to have the other elders against him, he decided to swallow his pride. I apologize. That wasn't my intention. I just find it difficult to accept that it seems you're playing favorites with the branch house, and that Lady Hinata has such a level of skill that you've explained. Be that as it may, you still need to show respect to, not only your elders, but your clan head as well. You also seem to insinuate that I'm lying, when I wouldn't do such a thing when it comes to skills of this clan's members. You'd be better off not to do so again. I will let it slide this time, but do so again and you will be punished. And I'm sure the other elders will agree. Hiashi warned, earning nods from the other elders once again. Thank you, Lord Hiashi. I'll keep that in mind. Haruo replied. Good. Is there anything else we need to discuss? Hiashi asked. It was the same elder from the beginning who answered. Yes, there is. Tsunade's office. Team Kakashi and Team Kurenai, with the exception of Kurenai, were in Tsunade's office, ready to receive their respective missions. There, Hinata saw Sasuke for the first time since Naruto had brought him back to the village. She wasn't happy that he was walking around free. She didn't blame him for what happened to Naruto, but she didn't like that he had gotten off so easy. Sasuke wore a black version of the outfit Kakashi was wearing, carried a sword strapped to his back, and only had his right hand bandaged. Which Hinata assumed was where the seal was placed for Naruto's jutsu. But, something about his hand seemed off. Just as Team Kakashi was about to be given their orders, a member from the Cypher Corps had abruptly stormed in. Lady Hokage. Terrible news. She yelled, causing everyone to move out of her way as she came up to Tsunade's desk. The cage has been kidnapped by the Akatsuki. She continued. Tsunade knew it was serious, so she had to make an immediate decision. Team Kakashi, you have a new assignment. Tsunade began. She was going to continue, but she was interrupted by Hinata. Excuse me, Lady Tsunade. I wish to be a part of this mission. Hinata said, urgently. Hinata, do you even know what this mission is? Tsunade asked. Without hesitation, Hinata answered. Yes, You want us to assist the Hidden Sand Village in any way to help them rescue the cage. Hey, what about us, Hinata? Are you forgetting that we have a mission with Kurenai-sensei? Asked Kiba. I'm aware of that, but I know about the Akatsuki and what their goals are. They're after the tailed beasts that are sealed within Naruto, the cage and various others. I've been trained by Jiraiya of the Sannin, my assistance could be of use in this mission. I'm sure Kurenai-sensei would understand. Hinata replied. That may be Hinata. But, can you really make a difference in this mission? Tsunade asked, before anyone else could interrupted. I may have been exhausted after last night's test, but I haven't shown everything that I'm capable of. Do you honestly think that Lord Jiraiya could actually teach me the Hyuga clan's jutsu? Hinata asked, causing Tsunade to raise an eyebrow. He made me get physically stronger and faster, but he's also taught me some of the jutsu in his arsenal. And when he wasn't training me, I was practicing the Hyuga techniques. And if I wasn't training in that, I was working on other practical uses for the jutsu or practicing a new special jutsu. Hinata explained, earning surprised looks from the others in the room. Even Sasuke and Shino's eyebrows were raised in surprise. Wait. You mean you were holding back against us? Kiba asked, yelled. Now's not the time for questions, Kiba. It's time for quick decisions and action. Hinata yelled, earning shocked expressions once again. Sigh. Hinata's right. Very well, Hinata. You may assist Team Kakashi on this mission. I'd like to send your teammates on this mission, but too many people may slow you down. Meet at the main gate in half an hour. Go. Tsunade ordered. Team Kakashi and Hinata immediately left the office. As soon as they left, Kurenai walking into the office once she was given permission to enter. Hinata's not here, Kurenai asked. She was, but she ditched us to go on a mission with Kakashi-sensei and his team. Said Kiba. What? Why would she do that? The cage was kidnapped by the Akatsuki, and Hinata requested to assist them in rescuing the cage. I assume, she somehow hopes to meet Naruto. Based on the cages in Naruto's situation, it only seems that's the most logical explanation. Shino answered. The Akatsuki? Why the hell would she want to go after them? Naruto or not? I don't think Naruto's the reason why she's going. Or at least as far as hoping to see him again goes. Said Tsunade, as she got up from her desk. What do you mean, Lady Tsunade? Kurenai asked. It's because, like Naruto, the cage is a Jinchuriki. Hinata has seen how Naruto was treated, and most likely has an idea of Gaara's childhood as well. As far as Akatsuki goes, they only see people like Naruto as a means to an end. And I assume that she still loves Naruto. So, she can't stand people who treat them other than like fellow human beings. Tsunade replied, as she walked to her office door. Stopping and turning slightly to look over her shoulder, Tsunade continued. They're to leave in just under half an hour. If you want to wish her luck, meeting them at the main gate would be the best chance. Tsunade then walked out the door, headed towards the main gate. Main gate. Tsunade, Shizune, Team Kurenai and Team Kakashi plus Hinata were now at the gate. Team Kakashi was prepping to leave, when a poof of smoke suddenly appeared to reveal Jiraiya. Tsunade. The cage has been kidnapped by the Akatsuki. Said Jiraiya. I know. I've already assembled a team. Tsunade replied, nodding towards Kakashi and his team. Looking at the team, Jiraiya noticed that Hinata was among them. Hey, volunteering for this mission, Hinata? Jiraiya asked, with a smile. Returning the smile, Hinata replied. Of course, pervy sage. If I can help to take down at least one member of that group, then Naruto will have one less enemy to worry about. Kakashi, Sasuke, Kurenai, Shizune and Tsunade slightly narrowed their eyes. They became slightly suspicious of that remark, but they didn't ask about it. But what was even more suspicious was that Jiraiya didn't react to her comment. Hinata, please be careful. Said Kurenai. Looking towards Kurenai, Hinata replied. Of course I will, Kurenai-sensei. But, I'll be giving this mission my all. Alright, enough with all this chatter. Team Kakashi, get moving. Tsunade ordered. Right, they replied, before leaving to the hidden sand as quickly as possible. Once they were out of sight, Tsunade turned to Jiraiya. Jiraiya, I want to see you in my office immediately. You know I need to check on my spy network. Meeting up with you now will only delay any intelligence that could help the village. So, I'll see you later. Bye, Jiraiya replied, before disappearing in a poof of smoke. Grr. Jiraiya, you, said Tsunade, under her breath. Team Kakashi. A few miles from the village, Sasuke decided to speak for the first time. Hinata. What? Hinata replied, placing Sasuke in her peripheral vision. You seem to believe that we might be seeing Naruto during this mission. Or you really want to protect Naruto. But to do that, you'd have to know where Naruto is. Which is it? Sasuke asked, looking for any signs of any possible deception. I don't expect to see Naruto on this mission, nor do I know where he is. I admit that I still care deeply for Naruto, and I know about his enemies. That includes your older brother Itachi. It's likely that we may encounter him on this mission. Hinata replied. I'm well aware of Itachi's affiliation with the Akatsuki. And with you trying to change the subject, proves that one of my theories are right. So, which is it? He's in the hidden whirlpool, isn't he? Sakura asked, earning a surprised look from Sasuke. The way you and that girl were talking, you were pretty close. Especially since you've admitted to having been to the Whirlpool village. So Naruto is there, isn't he? Sakura asked. Hinata sighed, closing her eyes, she answered. You two aren't as smart as you think you are. Yes, you're right. Naruto is in the hidden Whirlpool village. But, he can't be touched due to the protection of the few members of the Uzumaki clan and their followers. If you two had done your research, you'd have already figured out that there is a relationship between the Leaf and Whirlpool villages. What do you mean? And come to think of it, they said something about if things don't work out then they'll take back what's theirs. What did they mean by that? Sakura asked. Sigh. My point exactly, Sakura. The swirl on Kakashi-sensei's back is actually the symbol of the Uzumaki clan. The symbol on our headbands also have a swirl in the mark. If things don't work out, we'll be receiving new headbands and new uniforms. All of which will be without the symbol. I know for a fact that the hidden Whirlpool are asking for compensation for the way Naruto was treated. The Uzumaki clan takes family very seriously. Hinata explained. How much are they asking? Asked Sasuke. Depends. If things don't work out, then it'll be 100 million ryo. 100 million? Are they insane? Sakura asked. I told you, they take family very seriously. Naruto has been proven to be of the Uzumaki clan. So, there is little the Leaf Village can do about that. Hinata answered. Okay, what as things do work out? Will the 100 million be dropped? Asked Sasuke. Only by half. It's not just the Uzumaki clan that wants compensation. The other clans of the Hidden Whirlpool are extremely loyal to the Uzumaki clan. While they themselves get nothing from the compensation itself, they just don't like that a member of that clan is treated so poorly. Hinata answered. Just by half. And the other clans don't expect anything, except justice for someone they probably know nothing about. Sakura asked. Pretty much. That's not all, Kakashi said, deciding to participate in the conversation. There was a point that Hinata hadn't mentioned that he thought should come to light. If things don't work out, we'll be paying more than just the compensation for Naruto's treatment. What do you mean? Sasuke asked. The Leaf Village will also have to spend money on new uniforms and new headbands. If they take back their clan symbol, we can no longer wear their mark. Doing so would anger them. And they're not pushovers either. Kakashi explained. You mean, If we were to wear their symbol, we could go to war with them. Sakura asked. Yes, and we'll lose many ninja in the process. Right now, the Hidden Whirlpool are holding their own in a war against the Hidden Stone Village. The clans of that village must have become much stronger since their downfall, and I've heard rumor that they've taken in a large number of rogue ninja. Ninja who know the secrets of the other 5 great shinobi villages. Possibly former members of our village as well. Kakashi explained. So that means that they could have the advantage against us, stated Sasuke. That's right. That's assuming that the rumor is true though. Is it, Hinata? Kakashi asked. Yes. But, they've only accepted the ones most likely to be loyal to the Hidden Whirlpool. They've accepted ninja from just about everywhere. From the hidden grass to even the hidden cloud. Hinata replied. Man, they'd be pretty tough then. Because not only would they know secrets and jutsu from each of the other villages, but the village's security measures and battle strategies as well. So not only are they stronger, they're better prepared and smarter too. And based on the unlikely assumption that we'd choose to continue wearing an enemy's symbol, we'd not only go to war, but it would possibly spark a new great ninja war. Right, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Sakura. Exactly. But like you said, that's an unlikely assumption on that last part. We wouldn't do such a thing. I just hope things will work out. Kakashi replied. The Hidden Whirlpool wants this to work. It all depends on the elders and council of our village, said Hinata. PFF'd. Like the elders are really smart. Their stupidity forced Naruto to leave the village, and once they found out about his mastery of the 4th Hokage's ultimate jutsu, according to Lady Tsunade, they were practically kicking themselves in the, said Sakura, with sarcasm in her first sentence. True. But the decision isn't theirs alone, just like it's not just the Hokage's. But, Lady Tsunade will most likely want this alliance due to her relation to the Uzumaki clan, said Hinata. Her relation to the Uzumaki clan? Asked Sasuke. The Senju and Uzumaki are distant cousins. In fact, the first Hokage's wife was an Uzumaki. Naruto found this out when he was in the Hidden Whirlpool. Hinata answered, while also answering their next question. So, Naruto is related to the first Hokage? Sakura asked. And he was treated like shit, because they were too prejudiced against something that they don't understand. Hinata answered, irritation in her voice. Alright, that's enough for now. We need to focus on this mission, said Kakashi. Hey, isn't that Temari? Sakura asked. 3 days later, Team Kakashi along with Temari arrived in the Hidden Sand Village, where they meet the village elders Chio and Ebizo. Chio had mistaken Kakashi for the White Fang of the leaf, and had attempted to attack him, only to be hindered by Hinata, who had intercepted the attack. Something is different about her right arm, Hinata thought, once Chio had backed off. That was about half an hour ago, as the misunderstanding had been cleared up by Ebizo. Currently Sakura was working on an antidote for the poison that Konkuro's system from his battle with Sasori of the Sand. Unfortunately for Konkuro, he was poisoned. A couple Whirlpool ninja had shown up by chance, and they brought Konkuro and his destroyed puppets back to the Hidden Sand. Once they arrived, they ensured the Hidden Sand that they'd track down Gaara and relay his position back to them. But, that didn't help much. Konkuro had managed to regain consciousness for a brief moment to tell them that he had a piece of Sasur's outfit in one of his puppets' hands. The next thing he knew, a very large white wolf had been summoned. The wolf stood higher than Konkuro was tall, while standing on all fours. The wolf's name was Ranger, and was asked to track down the smell, which he had done gladly, stating that he'd do his best. The news about the wolf summons had surprised Kakashi some. He'd had never heard of such a summons, even though dogs and wolves are closely related. It's been silent, aside from the groans of pain they could hear from Konkuro during Sakura's treatment. Sasuke decided to ask something in order to break the silence. Kakashi-sensei. What is it, Sasuke? Kakashi asked. Who is this, White Fang of the leaf? Sasuke asked, gaining the attention of Chiyo and her brother. Well, in a word, he was my father. Kakashi answered, as he looked at the roof. You're the son of the White Fang? Chiyo asked, shocked by this revelation. That would explain the resemblance, sis, said Ebizo, equally shocked as his sister. Okay, but why would you want to attack the White Fang? Sasuke asked, while facing Chiyo. That man, your sensei's father, killed my son and his wife, leaving my grandson to live without parents. Chiyo answered. Is that why he went rogue? I mean, I lost my entire clan because of my brother, and I'm still a leaf ninja, said Sasuke. That may be, but if it wasn't for Naruto, you'd be Orochimaru's little bitch right now, said Hinata, offhandedly. Yay, and look where that got him. He ended up running from the Leaf Village, and is one of the most wanted men in the world, said Sasuke with a smirk. And during that time, he's done more than your narrow mind could ever dream of, Hinata remarked, with a smirk of her own. Alright, that's enough. Hinata, please don't egg Sasuke on. And Sasuke, don't forget that it's because of Naruto that you weren't executed by your attempt to go rogue. And it's the elder's irrational fear that led to Naruto's current circumstances. Besides, we need to focus on this mission, not going at each other's egos or throats, Kakashi ordered. Yes, sensei. Both Sasuke and Hinata replied, simultaneously. This Naruto you're speaking of, is he by chance Naruto Uzumaki, the son of the fourth Hokage, and new, Yellow Flash? Chiyo asked. Yes, he is, Elder Chiyo. The one and the same. He's also like your Kazekage, Gaara, a Jinchuriki, but of the nine-tailed fox. Hinata answered, respectfully. Although she didn't know the woman, she knew she had some skill. Skill that has earned respect on the battlefield. I see. He wouldn't have been treated like that here in the Sand Village, Chiyo began, before Hinata interrupted. You may be right, Elder Chiyo. But seeing how Gaara was when I had first seen him, I believe Naruto would have been treated even worse. Naruto and Gaara are both children of their villages, or former villages, Kage. And both were treated like they were the tailed beasts sealed inside them, and not like the humans they are. I'm sure you meant because his mastery of the flying Raijin Jutsu, but that's just so anyone can use him as a tool. Just like Jinchuriki are normally used. Sorry, but I doubt he'd consider being part of the hidden Sand Village, Hinata explained, keeping her composure while emphasizing some key words. Chiyo became irritated with Hinata's statement. But she couldn't argue that Hinata was right with what she said. She also noticed that she seemed defensive when it came to this Naruto child. She's quite defensive when it comes to the fourth Hokage's child. What kind of connection does she have with him? Chiyo wondered. Phew. Alright, Konkuro's out of danger for the moment. I just need these herbs, in order to make an antidote. Their thoughts conversation was interrupted by Sakura, who was talking with the nearby medics. About an hour later, Sakura had managed to make 3 doses of antidotes. She had just given Konkuro 1, so she had 2 left, which she stored in her medical supply pouch. Kakashi and the others walked up to them. Good job, Sakura. Now we just need to wait until word of the Akatsuki's whereabouts are. I've also sent Pakun out just in case, said Kakashi. Right. So, I guess we just wait until Pakun returns then? Hinata asked. Exactly, Kakashi answered. Chiyo then walked up to Sakura. You remind me an awful lot like that Slug Princess, Tsunade, stated Chiyo. Well, that's because Lady Tsunade is my master, Sakura replied, with a smile on her face. The answer gave Chiyo a slight shock. She hadn't expected the Leaf Village would send someone this skilled, let alone Tsunade's apprentice. She expected them to send a standard medically skilled ninja for appearance's sake. Yo, Kakashi, said a new voice. They all turned to the source of that voice. They saw Pakun along with a very large white wolf. Pakun, You're back already? Kakashi asked. Yay. I followed the scent from that piece of cloth Konkuro managed to obtain, and I ran into Ranger here. He told me where the Akatsuki hideout was. The Whirlpool ninja are about 5 hours from that location by now. Pakun answered, as the wolf known as Ranger just nodded. Hinata walked up to Ranger and petted his head. Ranger was about a foot taller than Hinata, but he lowered his head to allow Hinata to pet him. It's good to see you again, Ranger. It's good to see you too, Lady Hinata. Ranger replied. Hinata, said Sakura, getting Hinata's and Ranger's attention. Hinata and Ranger noticed the curious glances on everyone's faces. What? They asked. Hinata, I'm aware that you've been to the hidden whirlpool before, but how exactly do you know that summons? Kakashi asked. He's Haku Yuki's Arctic Wolf summons. I'm sure you've met Haku before, right? Hinata answered, following up with a question of her own. You mean that ice style user? Sasuke asked. Ice style? You mean the Keke Genkai from the Land of Water? Chio asked. Yes, to both questions. Haku is part of the hidden whirlpool. He's one of their top ninja, and is highly respected there. Hinata replied. Normally she would withhold this info, but she believed that the alliance meetings would work out, and that Naruto wouldn't mind her saying all this. So long she didn't tell them anything about the whirlpool's leader, or their secrets and security measures. I've heard that the hidden whirlpool has an ice-style user, but I wasn't sure if it was Haku or not. Said Kakashi. So, that's even more reason to believe that Naruto is in the hidden whirlpool. But, I guess he's part of that village. Isn't he, Hinata? Asked Sasuke. Hard to say. Last few times I was there, he wasn't. So, it's unlikely. Besides, we're here to concentrate on the mission, not asking about Naruto's whereabouts. Hinata replied, trying not to lose her patience with Sasuke. Finding Naruto's whereabouts are still an active assignment. He is in our village's bingo book after all. Said Sasuke, knowing that Hinata is becoming impatient, even though she's trying not to show it. That's enough. Pakun, go to the Leaf Village and request some backup. Better safe than sorry, said Kakashi, getting a nod from Pakun. Once Pakun left, Kakashi turned to Ranger. Ranger, do you mind taking us to the hideout? Kakashi asked. That's what I'm here for. The faster I'm out of here, the better. I don't like the heat very much. Anyway, I'll meet you at the gate in an hour. I'm sure you guys need some time to prepare. Ranger replied, as he started walking away. Thank you. Alright, be ready to move out again in 1 hour. Kakashi ordered. Later that day, Team Kakashi and Elder Chio had just left the village, following closely behind the Arctic Wolf summons, Ranger. Tamari had wanted to come along, but she was given a mission to guard strategic point by the Land of Wind's border. So, Chio had decided to offer her assistance. The only reason she gave is that she wanted to see her dear old grandson. Though everyone knew she really meant to take him out, rather than to reminisce. Hinata was the only one who had a slight difference in her attire. She now wore an Anbu-style vest on top of her tank top. The group had been traveling for hours now. Every now and then, Ranger would sniff the air to make sure no enemies were nearby, waiting to ambush them. Everything has been going smoothly. Haku and his comrade are about a half a mile from our position, said Ranger, informing Team Kakashi and Chio of what's ahead. Right. Thank you, Ranger. Kakashi replied. No problem. It hardly took any time at all for them to meet up with Haku and another woman. The woman had long midnight blue hair, and like Haku, wore the hidden whirlpool attire with the whirlpool headband. It's been a while, hasn't it, Kakashi? Said Haku, with a bow. With a short nod, Kakashi replied. Indeed it has, Haku. How's it been? Who is this woman? And did you accomplish Zabuza's goal? Good. This is Hikari. And yes, I did. But, afterwards I no longer had a purpose in life. That is until Naruto found me, and brought me to the hidden whirlpool. I've been a part of the village ever since. Haku answered, as he straightened up. How long after your success did Naruto find you? Sasuke asked. Questions will have to wait. There's a new scent up ahead in the next clearing, said Ranger, putting everyone on edge. It smells similar to the dark-haired one here. Ranger continued, referring toward Sasuke. But, the scent seems somewhat off. Ranger finished. Itachi Uchiha. This won't be easy, said Kakashi. I'm not so sure it's actually Itachi, said Haku, gaining everyone's attention. What do you mean? Sakura asked. He means that it may be an identical imposter. We ran into one earlier. One that looked like Kisame Hoshigaki. We managed to defeat him, but after the battle his appearance changed to that of someone completely different. It's possible that it's a special ninjutsu that transfers a person's appearance and abilities to someone else, but it's only temporary. Hikari explained. Then this is only a distraction, meant to give them time to extract a tailed beast, said Chio. Tailed beast? You mean like the 9 tails? Sakura asked. Exactly. But, there are 9 in total. From the 1 tail inside Gaara, to the 9 tails inside Naruto. People like them have been given the name, Jinchuriki. And they never have a choice in the matter, when it comes to having a tailed beast sealed inside them. It's basically giving them a life of hell, without them having a choice in the matter. Hinata replied, getting angry at the thought of what happened to Naruto. Though she understood the reason why Naruto was made a Jinchuriki, she still didn't like the way they're all treated, because of a choice that wasn't theirs. Alright, that's enough. Let's get this over with, so we can get back to rescuing Gaara, said Kakashi. Right. Well, this is where I leave you. Unless there's anything else you need, Haku? Ranger asked, to which Haku just shook his head in response. Ranger then disappeared in a poof of smoke. With that, they headed into the clearing. There they saw Itachi Uchiha. Sasuke had his Sharingan active. Something's off about him alright. His chakra roughly a third of what it was a few years ago. There is no way this is the real Itachi Uchiha, said Sasuke. I'm impressed. You've grown, Sasuke. You're correct. This body isn't the real Itachi. But I am in control of this body. Now, let's see what you can do, Sasuke, said Itachi, challenging Sasuke. Smirking, Sasuke replied. Fine by me. Shouldn't take too long to finish off a fake you. Both Itachi and Sasuke began a short sequence of hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. 2 very large fireballs shot toward each other. After a couple seconds of clashing, both jutsu exploded, leaving behind a large crater. With Itachi blinded by the smoke, Sasuke began another sequence of hand signs. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Sasuke hollered, sending about 20 smaller fireballs toward Itachi through the smoke. Itachi simply dodged out of the way. He suspected that Sasuke may have thrown shuriken within the jutsu. Suddenly, Sasuke appeared before him with an active Chidori. Not bad, Sasuke. But, Itachi thought, as he just swept Sasuke's hand aside like he had done 3 years ago. Hey, got you. Chidori stream, Sasuke yelled, as streams of lightning surrounded Sasuke's body. The jutsu caught Itachi unprepared, and sent him flying 10 feet away. After skidding to a halt, Itachi found it slightly difficult to move. It seems this new jutsu has some paralyzing effects if hit by the jutsu. On top of that, it can do some damage. Itachi thought, impressed with the attack. As he attempted to get up, Sasuke was suddenly on top of him with his sword coming down upon him. The blade was charged with lightning chakra, meaning that he'd be in some serious trouble if it hit him. With Team Kakashi, impressive. He's putting Itachi on the ropes so quickly in this fight. And that without any help. Chio commented, as she watched the battle in slight shock. Sasuke's been training hard, ever since he was released from prison. I was quite surprised that he could find so many different ways. From what he's said, he wants to fight Naruto again one day. Not just to bring him to the Leaf Village, but for his own pride. He still finds it difficult that he lost to Naruto 3 years ago. But despite that his loyalty was in question, he's proven to remain loyal to the village. Kakashi explained. Although Chio didn't ask a question, Kakashi still thought it best to explain his situation. I'm actually proud of his improvement thus far. Kakashi finished. If he were my student, I would be too. Said Chio. Tsunade's office. Lady Tsunade. I have the autopsy report right here. Said Shizune, after she entered the Hokage's office. I see. Let me see. Tsunade replied, as she held out her hand for the manila folder. Yes, ma'am, said Shizune, as she handed Tsunade the report. As Tsunade looked over the report, her eyes widened slightly before returning to normal and continued reading. It didn't take long for Tsunade to finish the report. She sighed before turning to Shizune. Gather the council members. We meet in 1 hour. Tsunade ordered. Yes, Lady Tsunade. Shizune replied, just before she went to follow her orders. Sasuke vs. Itachi. Sasuke's sword struck Itachi in the heart, surprising Kakashi and the others. But, suddenly Itachi exploded into a flock of crows. The crows flew around, until they merged together to form Itachi again. Not bad, Sasuke. I wasn't expecting a variation of the Chidori, said Itachi, with an unnoticeable smile on his face. But, you'll have to do better than that. Spectators. Sigh, as exciting as this is, we don't have time to waste. We need to finish this now. Said Haku. You're right. Hinata, care to finish this? Hikari asked. My pleasure. Hinata replied, as she began weaving hand signs. Ninja art. Needle Senbon. She said, quietly so as not to attract Itachi's attention. The jutsu caused her hair to raise into the air and then harden. Then steel-like hair fired from Hinata's hair, shooting at a high speed toward Itachi. Sasuke vs. Itachi. Sasuke was just about to attack again, but he then noticed something flying toward Itachi. Itachi was caught off guard as the hairy Senbon pierced directly through him. Blood came pooling out of Itachi's mouth as he fell to the ground. Sasuke turned toward Hinata, since she still had her hands up from weaving hand signs. What the hell? This was my fight, Sasuke yelled. You're forgetting the point of this mission. This fight was to waste our time, and cause us to fail our mission. Besides, he wasn't even the real Itachi. We don't have any time to waste. Hinata replied, as calm as she could be. Tisk, was all Sasuke responded with. He knew she had a point. He turned toward Itachi, only to see the corpse of a completely different man who had the same injuries that Hinata had given him. Gasp! That's Yura. He's in charge of our village's security. Said Chio, in surprise. Seems the Akatsuki has spies in the most inconvenient places for us. He may have known Sasori before he left the village. Said Haku. But, Yura was one of our village's most loyal shinobi. It's hard to believe that he'd betray the village. Chio replied. That may be, but it doesn't change the fact that he was a spy. Hikari stated. You may be right. I'll need to send word of this to the hidden sand village. Chio then summoned a toy bird and attached a message to it, and then sent the toy bird on its way. Valley in the land of rivers. Team Guy had just arrived in the valley, with the entrance of the hideout right in front of them. So, this is the enemy's hideout then? Neji asked. It sure seems like it. And by the looks of things, we'll have to get past this barrier first. But, we need to find out what kind of barrier it is. Said Guy. It looks like a 5-seal barrier. Said Kakashi, as he and his team landed on the water behind Team Guy. Ah, my eternal rival, Kakashi. It's about time you show up. We've had quite a while to rest up and think of a way inside this barrier. Said Guy, with his sparkling white smile. You say something, Guy. Kakashi replied. Ah, why do you have to act so cool? Guy yelled. Anyway, There are 5 tags in total. It'll normally take some time to find them, but since we have 2 wielders of the Byakugan, that shouldn't be a problem," said Kakashi, ignoring Guy's outburst. 2? Guy asked, as he looked around. As he looked at the current members of Team Kakashi, he noticed 4 new faces. One was an old lady, another with dark hair and brown eyes, a woman with midnight blue hair and hazel brown eyes, and finally a young teenage girl with midnight blue hair and the white eyes of the Hyuga clan. "Lady Hinata, is that you?" Neji asked, hardly believing his eyes. "It's good to see you again, Neji," Hinata replied, giving him a big hug. "You've grown, Neji," said Hikari, as she walked a little closer. Once Neji and Hinata separated, Neji took a look at Hikari. He could see the similarities between her and Hinata. Suddenly he realized who this woman really was. "Lady Hikari. It can't be. You're supposed to be dead." Lady Hikari. Team Kakashi, with Chio, and Team Guy asked. "It's a long story, Neji. Hinata will tell you later," said Hikari. "You're Hikari Hyuga, aren't you? I thought you looked familiar," Kakashi asked. Turning to Kakashi, Hikari replied with a smile. "Haha, you got me, Kakashi. You're just as observant as you were back then." "Hyuga, a rogue?" Sasuke asked. "Oh no, Kia. But, like I said, it's a long story. And once the Whirlpool's alliance is made with the Leaf and Sand villages, I won't have to worry about consequences of my disappearance. But I will tell you that the story is because of Danzo," Hikari explained. The name brought bad vibes to Kakashi and Chio. They knew who this man was, and what he'd do to gain power. The man was well known across the ninja world as the Shinobi of Darkness. "Who's Danzo?" Sakura asked. "An elder of our village, and the main person that caused Naruto to leave the Leaf Village," Hinata answered, with an angry tone in her voice. "What's that mean? Main person?" Sasuke asked. "Doesn't matter right now. We need to get into that cave and save the case cage," Hinata all but yelled. "She's right. My team will search for the tags, since we're faster. Neji, please locate the ceiling tags," said Guy. "Right," was all Neji said, with some shock remaining in his voice. It didn't take long for Neji to locate the tags and relay their position to his teammates. He and the rest of Team Guy set out to collect the tags. In the meantime, the others planned their strategy for entering the cave once the tags were removed. Chio thought about what she could do besides helping to eliminate part of the Akatsuki, but she hadn't come up with anything yet. She then looked toward Hinata, and remembered what she had asked Kakashi about her earlier. "Flashback. Kakashi," said Chio, as she and Team Kakashi were traveling through the forest toward the Land of Rivers. "What is it, Elder Chio?" Kakashi asked. "That girl. She seems determined to save Gaara. But I believe it's because of some sort of relationship with that Uzumaki child, Naruto. If that's true, what kind of relationship is it?" Chio asked, with an explanation of her question. "Hinata has had a crush on Naruto since they were in the academy. At first she was too shy to approach him, let alone talk to him. Yet somehow she found out that Naruto could use the flying Raijin jutsu. From what I hear, she was curious as to what and how Naruto obtained such a jutsu. Eventually, she gathered the courage to ask him. He answered on the condition that she'd continue to keep it a secret from everyone." Kakashi began, seeing the occasional nod from Chio. Kakashi then continued his story. Since then, they had slowly grown closer to each other. After becoming genin in a difficult mission, Naruto decided to ask Hinata out on a date. They had continued dating in secret due to Naruto's situation, which he had told her about at some point. I doubt that they're continuing this kind of relationship, but I wouldn't count it out. At this point, she dislikes anyone who treats people like Naruto or Gaara. She may not personal feeling toward Gaara or that sand village, but Naruto understands Gaara's pain. And her life hasn't been easy either, but that's a story for another time. The point is that, since Naruto isn't here to save Gaara, she decided to take his place. I see. Chiyo replied. She then went into how she believed everything she's done in her life was a mistake. Kakashi assured her that she still had plenty of time to try and make things right, by implying that she was still young. They both knew it wasn't really true, but that he was just being polite. Perhaps there is something I still can do. Chiyo thought. Flashback end. Council chambers. Tsunade and the council were now seated, and there were some chatter going on the civilian side. Tsunade decided to get the meeting started, and signaled for silence. Once the room was quiet, Tsunade began. The autopsy is finished, and there weren't any hidden traps. That's a relief, stated one of the civilian council members, earning nods of agreement from the other members, except Danzo. Yes. But there was a preservation seal on each of the heads, in order to keep their head looking fresh. So, for all we know, they could have been killed a year ago and we wouldn't be any the wiser. Said Tsunade. Must be a seal from the Uzumaki, they're the only ones in the hidden whirlpool that uses advanced sealing jutsu. Said Shikaku Nara, earning agreeing gestures from the shinobi and curious looks from the civilians. That's what it seems to be. However, the heads do in fact belong to Orochimaru, Kabuto Yakushi and Mizuki. Kabuto and Mizuki don't really have a bounty on their head, but Orochimaru does. So, we are going to pay the reward for Orochimaru's death and remains to the hidden whirlpool. Said Tsunade, seeing the disapproving looks from Danzo and the civilian council. How can that be? How can someone from such a small village be strong enough to defeat Orochimaru? Or even who can defeat Orochimaru? Yelled a middle-aged woman. How or who isn't important. What is important, is the fact that someone did defeat him. So, the hidden whirlpool will receive 50 million ryo for their accomplishment. That's final, Tsunade said firmly, as she saw that someone was about to argue. Continuing, Tsunade said, now, about the alliance situation. Where do you all stand on it? It was Hiashi Hyuga who stood up first to give his opinion, to the disappointment of one of the civilian council members who wanted to speak up. I for one believe it would be a good idea. We were already aliened with them once before. Therefore, I don't see an issue in this alliance. I do, said the councilman who was now standing and who wanted to speak up first. There is a war going on between their village and the Hidden Stone. If we alien ourselves with them, we'll be drawn into a war that doesn't concern us. Many of our friends and families are within the shinobi ranks, there's a good chance they'll die. I for one don't want to send my son into battle and die for such a small nation. The man yelled, earning a couple nods of agreement from his peers, but looks of disappointment from the shinobi council and even most of his peers from the civilian council. Your son is already risking his life just being in the ninja ranks. Ninja die even in a time of peace. That is something all ninja must accept. And it's not you who's sending him to fight, it's the Hokage. You have no say in the matter. Second, there is no guarantee that the war will continue once the alliance is made. Because the Hidden Stone must send troops clear across the entire continent, in order to even come close to the Hidden Whirlpool. Sending that number of their shinobi already leaves their village in a vulnerable situation. And third, this alliance is sure to bring in the Hidden Sand Village as well. I'm sure even you can do the math. Hiashi explained, getting non-verbal agreements from everyone. No one could actually argue with that logic. Moments of silence went by, when Tsunade decided to break the silence. Does anyone else have anything to say? Tsunade asked. When she didn't receive an answer, she continued. For the record, and for those who aren't aware of this, the Uzumaki and Senju clans are cousin clans. In other words, I'm a distant relative of the Uzumaki clan. They also helped build this village, and were aliened with us from the beginning. Which happened because they didn't want to be a part of the village. Now, I want everyone to sleep on their final decision tonight. We'll meet again tomorrow at the same time with the leader of the Hidden Whirlpool, in order to reach our final decision. Tsunade ordered, dismissing the village council. Inside the hideout, Team Kakashi plus Chio were now inside the hideout, staring at two people. One was hunchbacked and short, while the other one was sitting on top of Gaara's chest and had blonde hair. Both of them were wearing the trademark clothing of the Akatsuki, a black robe with a red cloud pattern. Looks like they've finally arrived. Sasori, my man. HN, said Deidara. Sasori didn't respond, he just kept his stare on Chio. There are two of them. How are we going to do this, Kakashi? Sasuke asked, not taking his eyes off the Akatsuki. The Akatsuki only travel in pairs. It's possible that they were placed together because their jutsu work well together. So, the safest way is to split the two of them up and attack as a team. Kakashi replied. That means we have to split up as well. So what are the teams? Sakura asked. Based on the little info we have, they're both mid to long range combat types. Which means close quarters combat is their weakness. But we have to be able to get within range to land a strike. That's what we'll be having the most difficulty with. But, we do have a long-range specialist. Kakashi explained, looking toward Chio when he stated his last sentence. You're right, but I can use long-range attacks as well, said Haku. So, Chio can take on Sasori. Since she's his grandmother, and has the best idea on how to deal with him. I'll help take out the other one. Kakashi nodded before responding. Right, Sasuke, Haku, Hikari and I will take on the blonde one. The rest of you help Lady Chio. Kakashi ordered. Kakashi-sensei, you and Sasuke both had the Sharingan, why not split up the Sharingan users between the two team? Sakura asked. I have my reasons, Sakura. Besides, your T has Hinata and her Byakugan. It may be more resourceful than the Sharingan. Kakashi replied. Don't worry, it's not a matter of distrust toward Sasuke, but it is important. Now, stick to the plan and we'll make it through this battle. Right, the others said, stating that they understood their orders. What do you think they're planning? HN. Deidara asked. Who cares? Why don't you go outside and take out whoever follows you? I'll take out whoever stays behind. Sasori replied, believing that Chio would remain behind. Sounds like a plan, Sasori my man. I'll just take this Jinchuriki along to bring even more after me. Said Deidara, creating a giant clay bird. You'll get yourself killed that way. You use most of your clay to take down the one tail. Sasori warned. Yay, whatever. Well, see ya, HN. Deidara said, taking off with Gaara in the bird's mouth. Deidara then flew out of the hideout, looking over his shoulder to see who was going to follow him. Looks like they're making our job easier for us. Let's go, Kakashi ordered, as he started going after Deidara and uncovering his Sharingan. Outside, Deidara looked at the four who followed him. He saw that two of them had an active Sharingan, who had the leaf headband. The other two were wearing Whirlpool headbands. Well, I've got two Sharingan wielders and two unknown hostiles from the hidden Whirlpool. Hey, should be interesting. HN, said Deidara, with a cocky smirk. So, who'll kick things off first? Hikari asked. Ladies first, Haku asked, with a slight smile. Thank you, Haku, I'll be happy to, Hikari replied, before beginning hand signs. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. Hikari yelled. The large dragon made of water emerged from the river and shot toward Deidara. Wind style. Freezing wind jutsu. Haku called out, finishing his own hand signs. A freezing wind blew forth and instantly froze Hikari's water dragon, creating an ice dragon. Inside, Sasori was sending barrage after barrage of attacks against Chio, Sakura and Hinata. Each of them were dodging his attacks with ease, which was frustrating Sasori. I can understand that Granny Chio can dodge my attacks, but those children? Thought a frustrated Sasori. Looks like all that training with the Chikara clan is finally coming in handy. Hinata thought. I'm surprised Hinata can dodge Sasori's attacks with minimal support from myself. Chio thought, impressed with Hinata's ability to dodge such rapid attacks. How can Hinata keep that pace? I know she has some help from Elder Chiyo, but by the look on Chiyo's face, she doesn't seem to be helping her a whole lot. Thought Sakura, who was just as surprised as Chiyo. Despite that Sasori was getting irritated, he eventually saw an opening and struck. Sakura saw the attack coming, but there wasn't much she could do. As Sasori's tail came closer and closer, it stopped an inch from Sakura's face. What? Sasori said, surprised at the sudden stop of his attack. Sakura immediately took this opportunity to take out Sasori's Hiroaki with a single punch. Once Sakura backed off, a cloaked figure appeared and jumped back as well. I see now. So it was because of you, Granny Chiyo. It's thanks to you that this children could dodge my attacks, and that's why Hiroko's tail stopped just short of killing that girl. Said Sasori. Yes, I did stop Hiroko's tail. It was with my first move. Chiyo replied. Yes, I figured as much. Said Sasori, as he pulled of the torn cloak and revealing a young red-haired man who looked to be in his 20s. Gasp! How can this be? Chiyo asked herself, out loud. He left 20 years ago, didn't he? Hinata asked. Yes, he did. But, how could he not have aged even a single day? Chiyo asked. With her Byakugan active, Hinata examined Sasori. I didn't notice this earlier, but his entire body is that of a puppet. Said Hinata, shocked at what she was seeing. What? But that's impossible, said Sakura, just as shocked as Hinata. He must have managed to turn himself into a human puppet. But how? Chiyo asked, shocked as well. I don't know, but he has a weakness, said Hinata, once she calmed herself down some. What's that? Sakura asked, and Chiyo eyeing her grandson. The circular thing that's in his chest, where his heart would normally be. It's filled with living parts in that small part. Hinata explained. I see. Then we'll have to aim for that. Are you two ready? Chiyo asked, as she pulled out two scrolls to reveal two puppets. Ah, I see you brought those. It's pointless. I made those puppets, I know their workings inside and out. And just because your Byakugan user has seen my weakness, doesn't mean you can defeat me. Especially, with this, said Sasori, as he pulled out a scroll of his own and revealed a puppet that caused Chiyo's eyes to widen with shock. That's the third cage. So, you're the one who was behind his kidnapping? Chiyo asked, her shock slowly turning to anger. That's right. He was quite difficult, but that makes him one of my favorites. Sasori answered, as he shot his puppet forward into attack. Chiyo countered by sending out her own puppets. The cage puppet's right arm extended outward to bring out several bladed, and the mother and father puppets brought out a sword. In a rapid and violent clash of sparks from clashing steel, the puppets were furiously battling each other. Their master meanwhile, were moving their arms and fingers rapidly, coordinating their puppets' attacks. During the battle, one could faintly hear an explosion coming from outside the cave. Hinata had in the meantime made eye contact with Sakura, who nodded in return. While the three puppets were battling, and the puppeteers controlling, Hinata slowly made her way to a better position to attack from. Should I attack, or should I call for Naruto? Even if I call for Naruto, he wouldn't know where to strike in order to kill Sasori. But it may end things quicker, so we can get the cage back. Hinata thought, wondering what her best option should be. Sasori was paying real close attention to not only his puppet battle, but Hinata and Sakura as well. He was that Hinata was inching for a better advantage point, while Sakura was boking up and down lightly, itching to attack. Hinata could see that the weapons from the puppets were wearing and breaking more and more. She could also see that the battle outside was starting to move away. Hinata quickly though of the only thing she thought was the best scenario to not only beat the Akatsuki, but to rescue the cage as well. Crossing her index and middle fingers, using on of Naruto's signature jutsu. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Hinata called out, creating a single shadow clone. The clone immediately took something that Hinata quickly pulled out, and ran towards the cave's exit. Outside, Deidara had just dodged the newly created ice dragon, causing the dragon to crash into the cliff side. Phew, that's cold. Maybe I should move this fight. Wouldn't want the noise to disrupted my man Sasori's battle, said Deidara, as he decided to fly off downstream. Don't let him get away, Kakashi ordered. Right, Sasuke replied. No, I got this, yelled Haku, as he simply just started hand signs. Ice style. Blizzard winds jutsu. As Deidara was flying, a sudden cold wind blew into his face. He could feel the cold wind affecting the rest of his body. His toes quickly felt numb. His giant clay bird now had difficulty flying, as it was now going against the wind. Looking up, he noticed that the sky had turned gray, and it had started to snow. The snow started to heavier and faster. What's up with this snowstorm? And why is it only around this area? Deidara yelled, toward himself. Looking around, he noticed that the male Whirlpool ninja had his hands up in a hand sign. So, that's it. Alright, I got something for you, said Deidara, pulling out some of his remaining clay. Deidara had some difficulty molding the clay, as the cold had hardened the clay. He had managed to form a couple small birds, and threw them as hard as he could into the wind. The wind took up the clay birds, and sent them hurling toward Haku and the others. Sasuke saw this, and quickly reacted. Everyone, move, Sasuke yelled. Everyone quickly jumped away, barely managing to avoid the explosions that came shortly after. Haku and Hikari landed on one side of the ravine, and Kakashi and Sasuke landed on the other. Haku, however, still held the hand sign for his jutsu. Haku, Hinata yelled, as she came up to them. Hinata, what is it? Kakashi asked. I'm just a shadow clone. The real me is an idea to end this whole thing quickly. But I need Haku to release his jutsu, said Hinata's clone. Right, said Haku, already having an idea of what the plan was. Releasing the jutsu, before anyone could object, Haku's suspicion was confirmed when Hinata quickly pulled out a tri-pronged kunai and hurled it into the sudden calm wind. Deidara noticed the young midnight blue-haired girl run up to the group. He saw that she had said something that had sent a little shock her leaf comrades. He felt that the wind had suddenly dropped to nearly nothing, which confused him. At least until he saw the girl throw a weird shaped kunai towards his head. He easily dodged the kunai, smirking as it flew by. The last thing he was before everything went dark, was a flash of orange metal in the corner of his eye. Somewhere in the land of fire, Natsu Chikara and Yusaka Kudo were walking with the leader of the hidden whirlpool. Naruto was in his Hero Uzumaki transformation. Except instead of the brown hair he used when he and Hinata first started dating, he had bright red spiky hair. They were about a day's journey from the hidden leaf village. Natsu and Yusaka were eyeing their surroundings, making sure no assassins were in the area. Naruto wore a white robe with orange flames, with every other flame forming into an Uzumaki swirl. He also wore black ninja sandals and an ocean blue flak jacket under his robe. Around his neck was the Uzumaki clan pendant. And finally, on his back was a katana with a red sheath and an ocean blue handle. Said Naruto Hiro, bringing his head up. What is it, Lord Uzumaki? Yusaka asked, glancing back at Naruto. Hinata gave her shadow clone my kunai. Can you make sure no one is around, Yusaka? Hiro, Naruto asked. Of course. Yusaka replied, weaving hand signs for a sensory-type jutsu. After a few moments, Yusaka informed Naruto of the jutsu's results. The area is clear, Lord Uzumaki. Just a few animals. No or abnormalities for at least a mile. Good. I'm about to go, I'll be back soon, said Naruto Hiro. Naruto then waited a moment before vanishing in flash of orange. Kakashi and company. Naruto Hiro appeared behind Deidara in an orange flash. Once he saw the robes, he instantly drew his sword and slashed through Deidara's neck. Kakashi and Sasuke were surprised by the appearance of an unknown ninja suddenly flashing in and slicing through the Akatsuki member's neck. Without Deidara, the clay bird started descending. The closer it fell to the river, the stranger jumped off the clay bird and onto the water's surface. He then started walking up to Kakashi and the others. "Who are you?" Sasuke asked. "Lord Uzumaki," said Haku, as he bowed. "Nice to see you, Lord Uzumaki," said Hikari, bowing as well. "Nice to see you guys too. And you don't need to be so formal," Hiro replied, before he looked over towards Kakashi. "Nice to meet you, Lord Uzumaki. I'm Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja. And this is Sasuke Uchiha." Kakashi greeted with a low bow. Hiro attempted to keep a straight face, but he failed miserably as he busted out laughing. "Ha ha ha, I know who you two are, Kakashi-sensei," said Hiro, just before he released his transformation. Now instead of a red head a foot taller than Sasuke, stood Naruto, who stood at the same height. "Naruto?" Kakashi asked, not believing his eyes. "What the hell, Naruto?" Sasuke yelled. "That's Lord Uzumaki, to you, Uchiha," stated Hikari. "Lord Uzumaki, he's wanted by the Hidden Leaf Village. Sasuke began, before he was interrupted. "He's also the leader of the Hidden Whirlpool Village. You'd do well to show him respect. Especially after he kicked you 2.5 years ago." Hinata yelled. "Everyone, calm down. Sasuke's got a point, but he can't do anything because of diplomatic reasons," said Haku, stopping Sasuke from saying anything further for the moment. Naruto, if it's possible, can explain later. But we still have a mission to accomplish," said Kakashi. "Oh yay. Hey, why did Hinata create you and then have it throw my kunai?" Naruto asked, looking towards the clone. Long story short, Akatsuki kidnapped Gaara, because of the one tail. Elder Chio, Sakura and myself are battling Sasori of the Red Sand. We could use the help. And Gaara was inside that clay bird's mouth. Hinata finished. Whaat. That should have been the first thing you said. Shadow clone jutsu, Naruto yelled, creating 4 clones who went after the clay bird, which was currently flowing downstream. "Sorry," said Hinata, with her head downcast. "It's alright, Hinata. Anyway, what's the whole deal with this red sand guy?" Naruto asked, giving Hinata a quick and comforting hug. "He's Elder Chio's grandson, a puppet master," said Kakashi. "Not just that, he's turned himself and the third cage into human puppets. He has a weakness though. There's some living part compacted into a cylindrical container type things, where his heart would be," said Hinata, as she and Naruto parted. "Human puppet?" Naruto asked, receiving a nod from Hinata. "Weird," said Naruto. "I agree. But we need to hurry up," said Hinata. "Alright, disperse, and have Hinata throw my kunai," Naruto ordered, earning a nod of acknowledgement. Hinata then dispersed of a poof of smoke. "Well, I'll meet you guys back at wherever this Sasori guy is," said Naruto. "After this, will you be able to explain things?" Kakashi asked. "No, not this time around at least. I'll need to get back to Natsu and Yusaka, as soon as possible. So once Sasori is taken care of, I'm gone. Have to make it to the Leaf Village after all," Naruto explained. "I see," said Kakashi. Gotta go. See ya later," said Naruto, just before he vanished in an orange flash. Once he was gone, Sasuke spoke up. "Orange? I thought the jutsu caused a yellow flash. I was wondering about that myself. At first I thought it was the light, but I guess that's not the case." "I'm sure we'll find out, eventually," Kakashi replied. Cave. The clash of blades have ceased between the blade-wielding puppets. The blades were all destroyed, you could barely even call them scrap metal. The puppets were forced to discard their blades. Sasori then revealed that Cage could still use his iron sand, despite being a puppet. He then continued his assault against his opponents. Chiyo had helped Sakura dodge the attacks, while Hinata did her best to dodge or used her defensive ninjutsu to repel the ones she couldn't dodge. Seeing that this wasn't going anywhere anytime soon, Sasori formed the iron sand into pyramid and rectangular prism. He launched them multiple times towards Hinata and Sakura, seeing that he had managed to disable Chiyo's puppet arm with the iron sand. Sakura had quickly managed to pick up on a little of Sasori's attack pattern, and began going on the attack. She had easily managed to punch and kick the iron sand into the cave walls, and causing the roof to collapse. Getting tired of this, Sasori quickly changed tactics. He brought the iron sand high into the air, nearly to where the roof was previously. While the sand was up in the air, Hinata took her chance to finish this. She quickly pulled out another kunai and threw it at Sasori. Sasori saw the kunai coming toward his head. He needed to keep his puppet in place in order to properly focus on his next attack, so he simply tilted his head in order to dodge it. The kunai harmlessly passed by his head. He noticed the odd shape of the ninja tool, and though it bothered him slightly, he paid it no mind. Sealing Jutsu. Body and Chakra Binding Jutsu. Came a voice, from behind Sasori. Before he could even turn his head, Sasori was enveloped in a black swirling vortex with red markings. Once the vortex vanished, Sasori only stood there. Completely immobile. There. He can't move, or use his chakra. His chakra is flowing just enough for him to survive, said Naruto, as he came out from behind Sasori. You're not going to kill him? Chiyo asked. No. We're going to try and get information on the Akatsuki from him. If he doesn't cooperate, then if future depends on his crimes. I assume you'll give us the update on his crimes. Naruto explained, before asking his question. I suppose we could. But that would depend on the new cage, since Gaara died when they extracted the Shukaku. Chiyo replied. That answer caused Naruto to get angry, and he had no problem showing it. And exactly whose fault do you suppose that is, huh? Exclamation mark. I know it was you, Chiyo, that sealed the one tail inside Gaara. Not caring how or what he thought about it. You call us, Jinchuriki. Have us protect your village at the cost of our happiness. Even though we served faithfully, we were practically stabbed in the back. Gaara and I were forced to take on a tailed beast, and were shunned for it. Yay. He got to become cage. I wanted to be Hokage, but I left when I was betrayed by the people I sacrificed myself for them. I brought back Sasuke, who attempted to leave the Leaf Village and join a traitor. We didn't choose this life for us, someone else did. My dad at least did it to save the hidden leaf, and not make me a weapon. Not like what you did to Gaara. Yours will be as bad as the Akatsuki. Naruto yelled.